Howdy folks, belated monthly update for the month of July. I hope you guys are all going good. We are ever so close to a Rugby World Cup. The teams have been coming out thick and fast. I've been trying to keep up with them as best I can. There's some depth charts on the way, but yeah, plenty going on, including a couple of new rugby jerseys which have recently arrived. I guarantee you will be surprised by one of them. But yeah, I'll crack those open in a second. Talk a little bit about Jamie Joseph leaving Japan and opening referee for the cracking match against France, New Zealand, and then the last one being France still the favourites for the Rugby World Cup. But start with jerseys. This first one was sent to me by Marc, who has sent me an unbelievable amount of jerseys. Very generous chap, big Leinster fan and Ireland fan, but it's not a Leinster or Irish jersey. You can see it is red and it is themed for the Rugby World Cup. It is the Portuguese jersey. I can honestly tell you I do not own any Portuguese rugby gear. Man, that is pretty slick. I've been kind of fanboying over this jersey in the promo shots, and by the initial look of the actual jersey in person, that seems to kind of live up to the images. Sometimes, I don't know, I just like this gold. Sometimes the promo shots don't kind of live up to the, well, you know, the real jersey doesn't live up to how the promo shots look, but man, that thing looks awesome. Thank you so much, Marc. I can't wait to chuck that thing on in a month's time when the Portuguese are going at it for their first Rugby World Cup in a very long time. And then the second one, if you thought that was the surprising one, no, that's not the surprising one. What do you think this rugby jersey is? Any guess? No. This one is from Luuk, and it's the Dutch rugby jersey. Goodness gracious me. When are these guys going to make a World Cup, Luuk? I will have this thing ready and waiting for the day where they make the Rugby World Cup. I can't wait to walk around the streets of Auckland wearing this thing. That's going to be insane. Man, Dutch rugby jersey. This has to be the only one of these things in New Zealand. I know it took, this jersey's taken a long journey to get to New Zealand because the initial time they tried to deliver it, they didn't find my house, apparently. So it's been to the Netherlands, back to New Zealand, and then back to the Netherlands, and back to New Zealand. So it's done a lot of travel. So cheers, Luuk, and cheers, Marc, for those two jerseys. That is phenomenally, awesomely generous. I am absolutely chuffed, and it just builds to the Rugby World Cup, doesn't it? And that's going to be a theme of a lot of stuff for the next kind of couple of months. But yeah, cheers, fellas. I should also say a big thanks to all you folks for coming along every month and watching all these bloody videos that we're putting out. I must be absolutely spamming your kind of YouTube recommendations at the moment with all the videos that are going on. I apologize for that, but it is that time. If you haven't subscribed, I would say, could you please do so as a personal favor to me. I think 55% of people are not subscribed, so you can change that. Doesn't cost you nothing. But ultimately, the fact that you're here is much appreciated. Also, a big thanks to these people, the patrons. The patrons keep the channel going financially. We've had Big Tipper, Matt Barrett, and NTU Sentiment all sign up in the last kind of month. So if you guys want to join the Patreon team, there'll be a link down in the description to Patreon. Also, a big thanks as always to Angus, Michael Daly, and Jack McHugh for their big support on Patreon as well. It keeps the lights on here at the offices of 2 Cents Rugby. Sure. That's definitely not my fridge in the background. But yeah, what else has been going on, man? Apart from all this stuff. Well, in July it was all Rugby Championship. This is a little bit of kind of ancient history, and it's a little bit of a belated video, like I mentioned. But in July, I mean, the Rugby Championship, Australia against South Africa. That game was very, very kind of, I want to say, well received by at least by the South African fan base. A lot of people took great interest in that. Obviously, Eddie Jones, first run out with the Wallabies as well, had a lot of interest in it. New Zealand against South Africa always was a pretty big one as well. And yeah, the biggest audience in the month just gone, unsurprisingly, South Africa 1, New Zealand 2, Australia 3. That kind of makes sense. Rugby Championship days, but also UK and Ireland. Also, 561 views from Taiwan. And I forgot to mention there's a Taiwan connection too. The other day, one of my patrons, Grant, who's based in Taiwan, was in New Zealand for a quick visit, being a Kiwi. He was back home for a visit, but he is based in Taiwan. And he brought me some Taiwanese beer, which was also phenomenally generous, along with these jerseys. This is the beer. What a beer. Long Dong. Taiwanese beer. I'm saving this for the World Cup. I haven't opened it yet. Got 3 bottles of this precious nectar. That is perhaps the greatest name of a beer ever. I think it means like Dragon Cave. If you didn't know, I speak a bit of Chinese. Second channel, 2 cents on tour. If you want to see me, I don't know, meandering around China in a Leinster jersey, or going to find some Soviet pilots who are buried in China from the Second World War, and me speaking Chinese, check that out. But yeah, man, cheers, Grant, for the beer. That is one I'm very looking forward to trying. It was a big effort for you to come all this way and bring the old beer. So yes, incredibly generous you people are. Where was I? I got distracted. South Africa's the number one audience, like I mentioned, 55% not subbed. But yeah, the other channels you guys watch, the All Blacks, you watch the Rugby Championship channel, you watch Rugby Pass, you watch the Summer Nations series, and you also watch the Egg Chasers Rugby YouTube channel. So there you go. That's what you folks are all watching. Rugby news-wise, what else has been going on? Jamie Joseph, well, he's leaving Japan at the end of the World Cup, and he is returning to his roots with the Highlanders. I think it's a 4-year deal to be director of rugby. It was always going to be an interesting kind of next career move for him, because he's still in like his early 50s, so it's too early to think about retiring. But he's already won Super Rugby as a coach. He's been an international coach for a number of years now. Where do you go from here? His stocks have kind of seemingly fallen in recent times since the Rugby World Cup with Japan. Like they've been dropping in the Rugby World rankings, if you haven't noticed. They've gone down a few more steps with their loss to Fiji. Lapis Labuskakani got banned for his red card in that game. But yeah, he's still got high reputation, he's well regarded in Highlanders country anyway. So he's coming back to New Zealand as the director of rugby. We don't really do many directors of rugby in Super Rugby, so I think he'll be like the second, because Warren Gatland got that role with the Chiefs for a while when they kind of shuffled him out of the coaching. It was almost like he was promoted out of a job instead of being kind of sacked, to be honest, old Gats. But yeah, he's going to be looking after recruitment and mentoring and all that kind of stuff. So we will see if he can turn things around a wee bit. They've been in kind of few lean seasons for the Highlanders here in Super Rugby. Jaco Peyper is going to ref the opening match between France and New Zealand, which should be a cracker. And the news on this side of the world is that not a bad thing, because the All Blacks have got a pretty good record under old Jaco. I think they said it was 15-1-1. So 15 wins, 1 loss, and 1 draw. So does that impact how that pool is going to go? Ultimately, that pool is predicted to be either All Blacks 1, France 2, or France 1, All Blacks 2. Italy's not predicted to have much of a chance to get out of that pool, but yeah, it may just affect how the kind of quarterfinals line up. Maybe we're just getting a bit too far ahead of ourselves. Obviously, a lot of rugby to come. Italy's going to try and chuck a spanner in the works, but yeah, Jaco Peyper for the first one. And does that have any effect on France still being the favourites? Well, interestingly, I've been kind of following the bookies' odds to see where things are shifting, and certainly the All Blacks' performance in the Rugby Championship, winning that competition undefeated, has increased their chance, at least their predicted chance of winning the Rugby World Cup. They are now equal favourites with the bookies to win the World Cup. They used to be second favourites behind France. Now they are more or less equal favourites, which is funny, because when they were second favourites before the Rugby Championship, there was a lot of talk about how on earth can the All Blacks be second favourites? They've been awful. Well, they started 2023 pretty well. And interestingly, South Africa seems to have also kind of edged their way forward. They are now the third favourite side, at least with the bookmakers I was looking up. Possibly a fair bit of money went on them after that big win over the Aussies, I would say. But yeah, we'll kind of watch that with interest, and then things will get underway in not too long. But yeah, cheers as always. Thank you to Marc for the Portugal jersey, to Luke for the Netherlands jersey, and to Grant for the beer, to all the patrons, for you guys for watching the vids, for coming along, subscribing and liking and watching and all that jazz. And if anybody has checked out the other channel and watched a video there, you are an absolute star, because that channel is so small, it needs all the love it can get. But yeah, cheers guys. Looking forward to the World Cup, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See ya.